one of the things I always ask myself, and I really tell everyone that they should really think this way, is what if they're right? Not trying to find all the reasons why they're wrong.
Hey, welcome to the first episode of the FLOT.BIO podcast, where I interview remarkable Europeans in biotech to help you be inspired, grow, and just be better at what you do. I'm Philip, I'm your host, and I will tell you more about the show at the end of the episode. So today I'm at the Sofinnova's headquarters in Paris to meet with Antoine Papiernik, who's the big boss. And so I've known actually Antoine and Sofinnova for almost 10 years, and they're really one of the best VC funds in Europe. The fund has been around for over 50 years, has invested in over 500 companies, and has 2.5 billion euros under management. Antoine is a remarkable speaker and also a really good and fun person. So let's head upstairs and meet with him. So Antoine, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you for inviting me.
I was dreaming of having you as the first speaker, and it worked. So
wow,
thanks so much.
So it's not so often that I make someone's dream happen. So thank you for making that possible for me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I want to discuss. I want to discuss so many things with you, but I will try to focus, or we want to try to focus on what's most valuable for our listeners. And I'll try to get into three parts. Yeah, first part kind of on your career, second part on your mental systems, third part more on the industry, looking at the industry. Let's see how far we go and what's most interesting. But first on your career, you did an business undergrad, and then MBA in the US in Wharton, and then you jumped very quickly into investment, and then now you've been over 25 years at Sofinnova. But can you start maybe with from the start at the beginning from your studies, like how was it and how did you make it then into life sciences?
Serendipity is probably the single most important thing, and luck for sure.
Yeah.
And I say this to everyone that I meet when I hire people. I said I would never recruit myself at Sofinnova today. And then the question I ask is really annoying. I said, are you lucky? Because luck just plays a huge role in life. And the Americans say, you make your luck, but still, it's just, you need to recognize when something is happening. I think that's probably one of the traits that I try to cultivate, is try and see the patterns when things actually are different than what others are seeing, and that pattern may be something that we want to pursue as a life point. I think that's one of the things that I've pursued. So yes, business undergrad, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I went into consumer goods. I worked for Unilever. It was a very important step for me, first because I met my wife in England, and that led to 3 amazing kids. And if you think about what's important to me, that is the basis of everything. I think it's pretty obvious, but I might as well say it. And that's the reason of existence in general.
You still carve out some time on your busy schedule.
I mean,
as much as you could.
Yes, and my daughter was here. She works. She's an amazing embroiderer, fashion embroiderer. Not really fashion, but she's an artist. But she works for money for a fashion house, and she's at the fashion show here in Paris. So, I don't see my 3 kids are in London. I don't see them every day. But it's not about how much time you spend. It's the time that you spend. You need to make sure that counts. Sorry to start about the family, but that's the core, I think, of the values that I've tried to live by. So business undergrad, starting marketing, consumer goods marketing, which also I think is something that how to sell something is pretty important in life. Then I went to work for an MBA. Had no idea what I was going to do, and this was 90 to 92. This is when the Berlin Wall fell, and I thought, wow, Eastern Europe, that's the new promised land. And it happens that my family is originally from Eastern Europe, and I thought, okay, this is where I want to be. And I ended up in Prague, of all places, working for the French government and a very large institution called Caisse des dépôts et consignations, very large financial institution, CDC. And I worked that's how I started as an investor within CDC. That was 92, 93, 94.
And what was the... First, it's great because you're answering a few of my questions also, which is great. But what was the decision making for going into investment, and then I guess for joining Sofinnova? Was there rational, or was it just like, it sounds interesting?
You're in business. I worked for out of my MBA for the French government, which was absolutely not planned. I mean, did I want to work for the French government? Absolutely not. Someone offered me, and I said, okay, sounds interesting. And I did this for a little while, but very soon went to work for CDC, which is an investment house. So what do you do in an investment house? You invest. So that's how it came about. That's why I said serendipity. I didn't plan it at all. It was more about, that's a very interesting thing to do. At the time, what was going on in Eastern Europe.
You enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. And
so you continued.
Prague in 95 was just an incredible place to be. So, but then my first daughter was born. Talking about, children are pretty central in your life. And I thought, well, maybe I should go back to, to France, or where I come from, to have a normal job. And at the time, CDC set up in 95 a fund called CDC Innovation, investing in venture. And I was given the choice. So do you want to do tech or life science? And I said life science, of course. And I said that because my two parents were physicians. My mom was a physician, but an immunologist, sort of a researcher, and my dad was a clinician, obstetrician. So for me, the idea that you had to take care of patients, the fact that you had to innovate in science was,
you were exposed to it.
I was exposed to it, but without any of the training, of course, and training is pretty important. Hence my comment about never recruiting myself at Sofinnova. But anyway, this is how
I was always convinced that you had an MD for some reason.
No, some people call me doctor, but professor. But no, I mean doctor by German standard maybe. But no, I have no scientific. I've got a Bachelor of Science, but in international management, so it's absolutely nothing to do with true biology.
Which is actually pretty surprising. I mean, especially in life sciences, especially in the VC fund today.
Impossible. Except if you have, which we do, we have some people who do very late stage, pre-IPO public. Then you have to have the knowledge about the public market. You need to have been an analyst. You need to have been a banker. That's doable. But in the early stage of the business today, it's much more difficult. I was making the count. We have 15 PhDs, I believe, 10 postdocs. We have 7 physicians, 30 Masters of Science at Sofinnova. It's just that's an amazing mix. Some people have multiple diplomas, of course, out of those, but that's the people we recruit today. PhD, postdoc.
So you wouldn't recruit yourself?
No, never.
I don't think you would have missed on the next Antoine. Today you could miss on.
I mean, so hence my questions: are you lucky? Because you need to be lucky, and you need to look at patterns. Because you don't have to be a scientist to have curiosity, and curiosity is the single most important thing, and the ability to also. Wonder whether the fact that you're being pitched a deck could happen. Meaning, one of the things I always ask myself, and I really tell everyone that they should really think this way, is what if they're right? Not trying to find all the reasons why they're wrong. So if you don't start from this premise, you know, if because you're a PhD, postdoc, physician, MBA, you know, with 20 years of operational experience, you come into a meeting with a young scientist and you think you're going to tell him or her the way it's done, you're wrong. So the real first premise is, what if they're right? And then if at the end of your diligence, there's nothing that proves you that they're wrong, then you should do the deal.
Yeah.
So, but that's it's a mindset. It's how you should do things.
I like this mindset of like, I mean, coming into, when you meet with someone or investment, coming in excited and more willing to do versus coming in like, just trying to say no or trying to destroy the deal. But which I see a lot in VC, especially in Europe. I see that quite a lot of people are way more conservative and way more just trying to say no. So I don't know if that's...
But it doesn't mean it's easier. You know, we see 2,000 deals a year.
Yeah. I mean, your job is still to say no, but the mindset behind might
I'll give you a few examples because for me, they are the most... it's always better to talk about real cases. But one of the companies, it hasn't been proven a success yet, but I love this company in my portfolio called Reflection Medical, which is a big capital equipment, something that in general in the VC world you say, no, I shall not invest in capital equipment. In radiotherapy, which has also been plagued by a lot of difficulties in the past. But I met this entrepreneur. I met him because it's called Sam Mazin, and I met him because someone I trust asked me to meet with him, and I looked at I scanned through the one page and I said, no bloody way. I mean, honestly, I mean, come on. So I will do it to please Jay, who's an amazing guy. So I meet with this entrepreneur, Stanford PhD, and he tells me what they're going to do, and which is this idea that instead of using traditional ways of doing radiotherapy, where a radiotherapist basically looks at the tumor on the PET scan, but and then delimits on the CT where the tumor is and tells the machine how to shoot at the tumor. Here you will inject a PET tracer into a patient, and the PET tracer, because that's what PET tracers do, goes into the patient's tumor and then emits some lights, and the machine will find the light, will recognize the light and shoot back in real time at this signal coming from the tumor. Basically, the tumor saying, "I'm here, shoot me down." Okay. Super simple idea. Everyone they saw for years told them this cannot be done. It cannot be done. And 10 years later, because this is 10 years later, so to tell you how difficult our job is, the company obtained FDA approval last month for their system called Syntex, or biologically guided radiotherapy, which could potentially revolutionize the life of metastatic patients in particular, because you could shoot 10 metastases at the same time. So back to what I was saying, if then, I mean, the normal thing to say to Sam would have been, no, just not for us. I mean, capital equipment, radiotherapy, all the way from Paris to the Bay Area, there's no way we're going to do this. And then we said, what if he's right? And we actually did the diligence, and today have an amazing machine that is installed, commercial in a number of key centers in the US, soon hopefully in Europe.
Okay, wow, I like that story. It makes me. I want to bounce on a lot of questions on the med, but I will jump after. But just to keep the travel, you joined Sofinnova 25 years ago, and then you climbed all the way to basically now being the chairman.
Well,
can you a short description of how it went and what was kind of one or two key lessons there? So in 25 years, it's...
Well, the reality is I was at CDC, and a firm that is not Sofinnova asked to hire me out. And at the time, as I told you, my first daughter was born, my second daughter was on the way, and I needed to see how, and I needed to feed my family. That's as simple as that. So this other firm was proposing. I'm not going to tell you who that is, but basically hired me or proposed to hire me at a much higher salary to be not to be an investor. I was an investor I was a partner, if you want. There was no term for partners at the time, but I was doing deals at CDC, and they were offering me to be in the investment team, but not as a partner. Okay. And I said, yeah, I need the money. I'm going to do that. And then I met with Denis Luquin at Sofinnova, and he said, "Oh, it's a stupid idea. You should come to Sofinnova, and you're going to be a partner." So I said, "Yeah."
So you switched after joining.
It's a much better idea. So that's what I did. And so I joined as a partner.
And again, the same like luck or being open to opportunity and
to say, is that the right thing to do? Yes, of course, it's the right thing to do. It's not just about, it's about being given an opportunity. And I was given an opportunity at the time to be a partner at this firm. Denis was the only guy doing life science at the time, and we basically partnered from that day on 25 years ago. And so I've been a partner in the capital fund. We were investing at the time. We had capital 1, which was 38 million euro. Capital 2, which was 47 million euro.
It's good.
So
compared to the amounts today, it's crazy.
2.5 billion under management, and more to come. So yeah, I mean, look, we grew as a firm, and therefore we made mistakes, but we made more good things than we made mistakes. It's a balance. If you manage to learn from the mistakes you've made, then you are better at judging what makes a good deal, what makes a good entrepreneur, and try and enrich your ability to do that you're good at. And that's what the firm as a whole did. It's certainly not. And then I'm one of the managing partners, and I was proposed to be when
Denis stepped down.
He proposed that I would become the next chairman.
That was when, 5 years ago?
I became chairman about 7 years ago.
7 years ago,
And Denis retired since then. Yes.
Yeah. I remember that's how I met Denis actually when we filmed the interview. That was 8 years ago, I think. But there's Denis, and the funny thing is that I think we were with my co-founder. We were the only one entering his office in shorts ever. Because we were doing the Tour de France on a bike, and so he still remembered us as a guy in shorts. But but it was funny. Well, okay, cool. And so
we recruited one of the partners Tom Burt, who's a partner in the. I'm not sure that people know that. I'm not sure he's going to be happy for me saying this on camera. But he was coming to interview, and he was on holiday in Spain. And with his father, and his luggage got stolen. So he arrived in shorts and flip-flops from the beach in Spain, and he said, "Oh, really apologies. I don't know if he had a shirt and a tie with the shorts and flip-flops, but he still got it acquired. I mean, still got the job hired, and he's done. It's done very well."
That's amazing. That's a good story. And then just on the. I remember for you got talking about the Midas List. It's you got listed twice, and I see that you are one of the only one listed. And actually, what's funny is that I came across you. I think there was an article in the Les Echos because of this listing, but I think over 10 years ago. So it has some exposure. I was just wondering, does it really matter, and how much does it matter to you?
I mean, look, it's always nice that people recognize what you've done. So I think I got chosen in 2011, I think, something like that, or 12. So over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the time they were looking, there was very few of us in life sciences that had a track record that would fit with the Midas List constraints, and got lucky. So the timing, it's about timing, so maybe the bar is so much higher now. I don't know, but I'm happy to have been elected twice on that list, and yeah, I mean, it's always nice when others just think that you're doing something good.
Yeah.
So
But
you
it
have to
doesn't.
take it.
It doesn't like impact how you see yourself. Let's say humility, ego. Like I mean,
Well, people,
I can feel that from quite a lot of VCs, especially in tech VCs. It's crazy how like they give so much importance in Midas List and being there. Like
I mean, in our business, and it's true for tech as well, you're only as good as your last deal. This is what people say. In fact, there's a scientist that did a study, his PhD on the return of VCs according to time. And you'd be surprised because, of course, as you gain experience, this is something I've actually shared with the whole firm because I was past the peak by a long shot when basically this guy demonstrated that you increase your return as you start in a VC world for 14 years. That's what this study shows. And after 14 years, you decline. And I think the way they were explaining this is initially you don't know, you work harder than anybody else, and you gain experience, and then your return increases to a point where you think you're on top. And then you start being, not diligent enough, and you trust your gut a bit too much, and you take bigger bets, and then you fall. So I've always reflected on this because, as I say, in our business, you're only as good as your last deal. By the way, this has shaped also, not just this, but the way that we think at Sofinnova, where the partners are equal partners in the firm, in the funds in which they work. So, for instance, I may have 25 years experience. Tomorrow, if we either hire or promote a partner into the fund, that partner becomes an equal partner in the fund.
So equal partners means the shares of each
Same carry,
individual.
same carried interest in the fund.
Yeah.
So it's not because you've been here 25 years that you are owed more of the carry of a new fund. And the concept is you start from scratch. You've got a new fund, you've got 4, 5, 6 partners. It's equal opportunity. Everyone should work towards the same goal. You are all holding each other by the chinny chin chin. You're all in the same boat here. It's not because you have 5 years experience or 25 years experience that you should be expected to do more or less. So that's a principle in our shop. Not everyone does this, but by the way, I benefited from it when I was a rookie with milk coming out of my nose 25 years ago. Yeah, okay, I got lucky, but this I still had to build the experience, but I was given the framework where I could actually excel for the organization, and I think that's what we look for people. I know that I'm actually, when I look at the people we hire, I'm thinking, they know so much more than me on the understanding of the life science. I can bring something to them by the sheer experience, all the things, all the good things, the bad things that I've experienced over the last 25 plus years, because I've been since 95 in this business. But as I said, making sure that everyone is on the same footing is I think one of the conditions of success at Sofinnova is that we are trusting that even the young partners in the team will, they don't know, they will work a lot more
how
to get
different
there.
is it versus other funds? Let's say.
Look, I don't have the full other firms where if you're a junior partner, then you don't get the same share of the carry.
Yeah.
And that works as well. When I'm saying in our shop, the system is different.
But so the compensation basically is the same for a junior partner as for a managing partner. I mean,
in our business,
the carry. But I guess the salary is different.
The salaries is different because then you grow into a firm and then you assert your position in the firm. But the carry is the most important thing for people because this is where it's gonna take some time. But this is where the real money is.
Yeah, so basically, what you're trying to do is from a compensation to get the levels more close together, the differences closer together versus in other fund where maybe the managing partner will earn 5 times more than the junior partner. Okay, cool. That's interesting. I mean, I guess it's the parallel with some biotech or pharma companies where they try to reduce the lowest pay to highest pay to try to reduce it a bit and to have more cohesion and more connection.
But it's also about making sure that everyone's motivated about the same thing. You know, it's about aligning interest. Yeah. You know, if everyone is, the good thing about the equal carry in our shop is my deal is the other partner's deal. Yeah. If he or she excels, I'm an equal benefit holder of that, and vice versa, which means my network is his network or her network. And so we share, I think, by design, you share more because you benefit more.
It's much more equal and fair. Yeah, and I guess you skip all the discussion of like, oh, I have 5 years more experience, so I should get a bit more carry than you. And
yes.
And it's impossible to really
quantify. Flip side, by the way, not the flip side, but one of the things that is also very important here is, because, making a great deal is so important in our business for one's ego, for one's reputation, the track record that you build. How you make those decisions in general. Here we have an investment committee that takes decisions. Everyone in the investment committee has a vote. Everyone has a veto, which you can exercise if you want. The reason I'm saying this is
the same for everyone. I guess.
It's the same for everybody, junior, senior, which also means if there's a fantastic deal, one that reimburses the fund, it's everyone's deal. And of course, there's always someone that carries the carriage. But I think it's more important that if there's a lousy deal, because that happens too, no finger pointing. It's not because you've taken the decision, you had your chance of a veto, and you did not take it.
It's also your responsibility.
It's your responsibility. So no finger pointing on a crap deal, which is I think fundamental because everyone will be exposed to something that goes really, really wrong. Yeah. So
it's part of it.
The job. So.
I like to come back to what you said. You're only as good as your last deal, and crossed with like spotting opportunities. Spot was you learn a lot of things. Like, but if you and crossed with you think with overconfidence, all of that. How you like from you yourself? How do you deal with all of these components? And I can see like a DJ, like a board with like you're trying to ponder a bit everything and giving importance to the right signal. Like how do you yourself kind of from a mental system like align all of these parts?
Maybe
that's the magic.
And sometimes I'm thinking because I'm not a scientist, I actually have an edge because you need to go through me. I need to understand what this is about. Sometimes it's actually quite complex. So you need to be able to dumb it down to my level in a way. But it's not so silly because, you think this company might actually come to the public markets. Yes, you have analysts that are incredibly shrewd, but you need to be able to explain something complicated in a simple way. And I think for me, that's a filter. And it's a filter for the entrepreneurs because, you may be the most amazing scientist. If you're unable to translate what you are doing into simple words, you won't be able to explain it to our, I own investors. We bring our entrepreneurs to our LPs who are total generalists, and you see it. You can see it. You know it. In fact, ahead of time, when a CEO just does not do a good job of explaining that what he's doing. It could be the new epigenetic editing platform, whatever. You need to be able to explain it to people who have actually no background in science. If you don't do that, it's unlikely you will be successful.
I always amazed also, having met a few like biotech entrepreneurs and CEOs, so you have quite some differences, but usually the one that stands out, and sometimes it's kind of correlated with success, or like with at least success of companies, there is a skill to sell, but also to sell to people who are not specialists.
Yeah.
I think you needed to convince maybe generous investors, you need to convince the press, to hire people, non-technical people
I think that's, so to me that's a sign, and sometimes some people don't have the skill, but you can complement with people that have.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone can be everything.
Or be good enough versus, you don't need to be excellent, but being like good enough.
Yeah. I mean, the CEO needs to be able to sell the science. If the CEO cannot sell the science and needs his or her CSO, CMO to do that, then they have a problem. But the CMO, CSO needs to be able to just sell the business. At the end of the day, this is a company that ultimately, if you go far enough, will do turnover. That's not a swear word in our business. And will could become a major company with thousands of employees and billions in sales. So if you put yourself in that framework, then you need to hire the people that will make that happen.
It's interesting. It's a perfect transition to more looking at the industry and even like taking a bit of bird view. But that's one thing that shocked me when I studied in the US in Boston. The difference to be able to sell, like I was meeting people in Boston, like I felt like everyone was really good at selling. Even the PhD, super nerdy, can still like fit you really well. And there's some downsides to it, but there's some upsides. And then the vice versa in Europe, it's really hard to like even understand. Even us as media, sometimes it's like really hard to even like get excited by something. It's hard. Like, do you see that? Like, you invest on both sides of you invest on both continents. Like, what's your perception there? Like,
you're totally right. So,
and do you try to bring some of this like American selling to your European portfolio companies?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Including in bringing, we use consultants in the US, in Boston, to help, deliver. It's almost like a baby. You need to deliver a presentation that epitomizes what you want to say. That may not be. So we do that. I think translation, being able to express yourself and what is so unique about what you're doing is essential. A lot of people don't know how to do that. So, but that's not rocket science. That's easy. We just need to do it. I mean, there are people that are professionals that do that. Just bring them to a company, whether it's in Dijon or in Saragosse. Who cares? You have to use the same tools. They are, it's the same price for everyone. And but I think the benefit to a European company is bigger because they come from a lower point in general.
Yeah. And you differentiate from other European companies who are not able to sell it. I like on the industry. I like one thing you said. I think when we met, or it was in the blog post, that you want to invest in companies, or you think someone in Dijon or wherever should be set up as a company in Boston. Could you expand a bit on that, and what's the rationale behind it?
Well, the rationale is that Europe has equal science to the US, if not better. That's just every data point leads to that. So if you start from there, everyone, it's equal opportunity for a European company, wherever it is, in Scandinavia, in Southern Europe, in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, in France, in the UK, to position itself as best of breed in its field. It's not, you cannot compare yourself with other companies in Europe. You have to compare yourself with the global companies. I mean, it's simple, but it's and in the field, from CRISPR to editing to antibody platforms to the next antibody drug conjugate to anything, any technology in general was born on both sides of the Atlantic. The IP is on both sides of the Atlantic. mRNA. So it's the same. So if you start from this principle, the question is, and then you put yourself in the position of Fidelity and Tiro and Janus, what do you need to see? What's back to the pedigree or the elements that you need to see when the company comes and present to you. If it's completely out of the box because it's, CEO that barely speaks English, or just, these slides are really all over the place and it's not clear. So, but that is on us. It is on our companies to put themselves in a position to make the location of that company irrelevant.
Yeah.
That is the only. It doesn't mean it's not good to be. You cannot just copy Boston, pretend that you're Boston, but the location of the company should be irrelevant. I say this even though I think, in fact, being in Europe is in this environment is a plus. If you think about the cost of a PhD in a biotech company in Boston, it's a plus. It's like the efficiency of a discovery team in Paris or Milan is much higher than in Boston, which is it costs. It's a so
efficiency per capita.
Efficiency per capita. So as long as you have the people with the same skill set. So how do you do that? So you need to do that. You cannot. It's gradual. You cannot pretend you're a Boston-based company just by saying I have a registered office in Boston. You need to bring the skill set. It's a mindset. You need to bring those skill set. And if you need your CSO in Boston because you can't find that person, just hire that person. Doesn't mean you need to flip the company to the US, but hire that person who will bring you and bring this organization to a position where it could actually be in Boston. And that's the work that we need to do. And that's the work on the management side. It's the work on the board of these companies, bringing those Boston-based, Bay Area-based board members that have seen so much into our companies.
And I guess it's part of your decision-making even upfront by investing. Like, is this management team of this company, will it be able to be location independent? Will it be able to be global level?
That also means you need to be able to hire, if you're a manager, people that are better than you. That's a skill set that it's true for every continent now. So
that's good. I'm seeing the time. I think we've just 1 minute left. Still a lot of things I wanna discuss, but just like, do you want to share one final thought on whatever the 3 parts we discussed? One thing that kind of resonates with you want to share with the audience?
Well, look, I'm a European. I'm a believer that we have an amazing chance in Europe to build an industry that has the same quality companies that we have in the US. So actually, that's what I believe in. I'm a general optimist, and at the same time, I'm also a realist.
Rational optimist.
Well, I say I'm a paranoid optimist, but I am quite paranoid.
I'm a paranoid survivor.
Yeah, well, yeah, and in this environment, this is not a simple moment in time. And for having personally seen 2001 and 2008, the opportunity is so much bigger. The risk is so much bigger because we're in so much better position than we were 15 years ago. So therefore, it is on us to make sure we don't mess up. And that means that the degree of the thought process and the fact that we all need to up our game, the entrepreneurs, the investors, everyone needs to up our game if we want to make sure we actually translate all the things that we have created so far into amazing companies for the future. So the ability to fund our companies is not trivial in this environment. So we need to be very focused on that. The ability to fund ourselves. We've raised a lot of money over the last 5 years, but the ability to convince the limited partners, the investors in our funds, that's going to be a very important subject for the whole community, and that's not going to be so. You have to be optimistic about the future, because I think the technologies, the companies, the entrepreneurs with experience are here, but you need to absolutely be very conscious of all the challenges that we have and work double time, I would say, to sort those out in order to cross the chasm over the next 2-3 years. The financing chasm, both at the company, portfolio company level and at the fund level. We have 100 companies in the portfolio today. 100.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, or I'm not sure if it's a lot. It's a number. It's a lot. But imagine the number of, and we have, fortunately, a lot of value here. 72 people at Sofinnova today. 72 people. It's a lot. Yeah. So some of them, of course, are not all that are in the investment team. We have an amazing corporate services team that helps us do the work that we do. But 100 companies that need to get to cross that chasm. That's the term I used.
There's work to do.
There's a lot of work.
I mean, that's the message. Kind of, if you wrap up, you sound very optimistic about Europe, about the industry, about everything, but still be very kind of paranoid or pragmatic.
Yeah, I mean, there's dangers that loom in front of us.
Yeah,
don't be
overconfident.
Yeah, don't be overconfident because it's going to be, not everyone will win. That's for sure. So it's
very good. Maybe a last one, just like where people can learn more about you or follow you. You have a Twitter account now. You have a Twitter account now.
I do own a Twitter account. It's not hugely active. I do comment on LinkedIn quite a bit, but I'm learning every day.
That's great.
So
thanks a lot.
Grow and collaborate together.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks.
Grow and collaborate together. Let me try everything again. Hey, me again. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and thanks a lot for listening to the end. If you're keen, please hit the follow button somewhere maybe, or the like, review, share button, share it with some connections. It would help us a lot, especially this early in the show. And before telling you more what's behind the show, I want to say a big kudos and thanks to the team. Kieran, web development, Catherine in marketing, Mary in logistics, Wayne in editing. They did an amazing job, and there's a lot of hard work put into the show. So now, what's behind? So FLOT.BIO, the company was founded in March 2022. I'm one of the founder, and previously I founded biotech.eu. And we started the company building a marketplace for the biotech industry. But we didn't have enough product market fit. So we decided to pivot to a content business with the first product being that podcast. We don't want to create yet another podcast. There's already a lot of them around. But we believe Europe needs a high quality, long form podcast to help both professionals and biotech enthusiasts be better informed, grow, and just be better at what they're doing. And so that's why we are creating that podcast. We are selecting the best Europeans in biotech we can find, and we are interviewing mostly actually offline, so we can have really the highest quality, both technical aspect, but most importantly on the dance and the content and the flow of the interview and the content. We release around one episode per month on all the major platforms. Money-wise, we are financed by our own private investments, and our business model is based on advertisement. So it's the sponsored messages, slots that you see in each episode. And we are sponsored by financial support from individuals and corporates. So anyway, I will not make it longer. I hope you share our vision, and if you're keen to hear more, or you want to reach out, or you want to share some feedback, please shoot us an email, hi@FLOT.BIO. Again, thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode. Bye.